I'm Jay from the Kubz Scouts. Welcome back to another episode of Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. We got one more witness to get their testimony from. It's the star of this whole case, Lana Sky. We're about to get that right now. If you guys are cool with that and you're down with that, everybody get ready and buckle up, because here we go. February 25th, 2:21 p.m., District Court, courtroom number 9. We're already starting the case. Okay. You guys already buckled up. I know you are. Now then, will the defendant, Miss Lana Sky, please take the stand? That was quick. I like this. Quick and easy. Love me a quickie. Miss Lana Sky, you are the chief prosecutor. I'm sure you're aware of what is required of you. But Mr. Edgeworth, you already know everything. You know all that I've done these past 2 years. Please provide the court with your testimony, Miss Sky. And remember, you are under oath. We want to hear the truth. Of course, the truth. Lana, no matter what happens, I'll always be your sister. No shit. Now then, your testimony, if you will. First, tell us about your relationship with Chief Gant. Everything hinges on your testimony. You're the only chance we have to get Gant. She's gonna lie. We already know that. Witness testimony, Gant and the fabrication. The first one of today. So guys, left and right, eyes locked in, please! I worked alongside Gant for years. There's no truth to this blackmail theory. I fabricated the evidence 2 years ago all by myself. When I found Prosecutor Marshall's body, I rearranged the crime scene. My only motivation was to get Dark convicted. It had nothing to do with Emma. Are you sure about this testimony? Your Honor, I'm confessing to a capital offense. Of course I'm sure. But Lana! If this is true, then that means Chief Gant has nothing to do with this. That's what I've been telling you from the beginning. Please, Mr. Wright, you've got to help her. She's sacrificing herself because of me. Well, what if she's telling the truth? She's not. I know my own sister. Whenever she speaks stiffly like that, she's hiding something inside. Deep down, she's really screaming in agony. Yeah, this is no time to start second-guessing myself. The defense may now begin its cross-examination. Okay, time to cross-examine that ass boy. I worked alongside Gant for years. That has nothing to hold about. There's no truth to this blackmail theory, okay? Hold it! But think about it, Miss Sky. You didn't murder Detective Goodman. You told me as much yesterday in jail. You still don't get it, do you, Mr. Wright? Stop facing away from me! Any testimony you cannot present in court is as useless as idle gossip. I stabbed Detective Goodman with a knife. And I fabricated the evidence 2 years ago all by myself. Hold it! Something stinks here, and it might be you! Did you do so to help your sister? Joe Dark was a serial killer. My sister almost became his last victim that day. I didn't want that incident to ruin her life. But what she did was justifiable self-defense. She wouldn't have been charged with anything. That's not the point. She was traumatized that day, all because of that creep! That's why I couldn't forgive him. Lana, so that's why you fabricated the evidence 2 years ago? When I found Prosecutor Marshall's body, I rearranged the crime scene. How did you do it? Feng Shui style? You say you did this all by yourself? Yes. Would you mind telling us what you found when you arrived at the crime scene? It seems I was the first person to discover the scene. The broken Prosecutor Award knife was stuck in the victim's body. What? But Prosecutor Marshall died from an unfortunate accident. That's only a situation you dream was possible. The reality is, it wasn't my sister who took the prosecutor's life. Fantasize all you want, Mr. Wright, but I'll never change this statement. You mean, Prosecutor Marshall wound up being killed by Dark? Something like that. If that is so, what happened to the other murder weapon? Dark was carrying a switchblade knife. Oh, that was lying on the floor a little distance away. It was probably knocked away in the struggle. That's not how it went down. She's trying to cover up her lies with more lies. All just to protect me. I know, you ain't even that special. So when you found the scene like this, what did you do? After all, this is what everything boils down to. Yes. I broke off the tip of Dark's knife, planted it inside the wound, and then moved the body. You planted the tip of Dark's knife in the victim's wound? And then you moved the body? But why? Why would you do that? You of all people should know, Edgeworth. You've always had a good head on your shoulders. He does have a good head on his shoulders. That's a fabulous head on those shoulders. Those broad shoulders. My head isn't that bad, but maybe I ought to ask for the sake of the others. Why did you plant the knife? Why did you move the body? Why did you plant that knife wound? But why did you do that? Come now, Mr. Wright. Even you should be able to figure it out. Very well, let's add this to the witness's testimony. The reason Miss Sky fabricated the knife. I knew the tip of the weapon found buried in his body would be all the proof we needed. According to your testimony, Prosecutor Marshall's broken knife was the murder weapon, right? Yes, and leaving it at that might point the blame away from Dark. I felt the most effective way to get him convicted would be by having the tip of his knife found inside the victim's body. So you buried it inside the victim's stab wound? Yes, because I hated Dark for what he did. My only motivation was to get Dark convicted. It had nothing to do with Emma. You sure about that? So you rearranged the crime scene. Are you sure you didn't do this to keep Emma from looking like the murderer? How many times do I have to tell you, Mr. Wright? Emma didn't do it, period. Are you so desperate to hide that fact? You're willing to risk the death sentence? She's lying. She did it so I wouldn't be blamed for what happened. In any case, as a prosecutor, what I've done is unpardonable. There's nothing I can do to make up for my actions. Mr. Wright, my sister's lying. Looks like she's determined to protect you to the end. She insists she fabricated the evidence by herself. There's no way she could have done it alone. I've got to get Lana to talk more. If she's lying, then she's bound to slip up and make a contradiction. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I am gonna ask that one question where I had to choose, like, why did you plant the knife and why did you move the body? This time we're gonna say, why did you move the body? When you showed up on the scene, where exactly was the victim's body? It was where you deduced it was, by Chief Gant's desk. But the body was found by your desk. Why did you move it there? The reason for that is simple. Let's have the witness explain this in more detail. The reason Miss Sky moved the body. The pieces of the jar that shattered during the events threatened my plan. Pieces of the jar, you mean? Yes, that wretched jar you showed us earlier. In order to show that Dark committed the crime, I felt it would be more expedient to move the body. So, when you first found the body, the jar was already... Of course, it had been shattered to pieces. If you looked at the crime scene, it would be clear right away what happened. Neil Marshall was dead, and Dark was lying unconscious. In other words, the jar must have been broken during their struggle. I see. What's the matter, Emma? Apparently, the jar shattered at the time the crime was committed. But I have a feeling there is more to it than that. There must be a contradiction here somewhere. Anyway, I committed this fabrication completely alone. My only motivation was to get Dark convicted. Okay, you know what? I got it. Let's go back to that jar talk. And then, let me see something. Jar. The pieces of the jar that shattered during the events threatened my plan. Okay, let's go back to the jar. Let's look at this. Final fragment found in Chief Gant's safe. Emma is written on the surface in blood. So, if it was already shattered, somebody wouldn't have time to write Emma. So I think that we are gonna wind it up and say, OBJECTION! Miss Sky, I understand how you feel. You committed that crime 2 years ago to protect your sister. You mean the forgery at the scene where Neil Marshall was murdered? If that truth were to be exposed now, the past 2 years of your life will have been in vain. Even so, I am compelled to bring to everyone's attention a significant contradiction within your testimony! A contradiction in my testimony? You testified, and I quote, "The pieces of the jar that shattered during the events threatened my plan." That's right. Do you have a problem with that? It's a simple oversight, really. You see, a message was written on this jar with the victim's blood. Yes, the prosecutor must have written it in his final moments. Exactly so. And this is where the contradiction lies. In order for the victim to be able to write his message on the jar, it must not have yet been broken before he died! He couldn't have written Emma's name on that shattered jar! Yes, guys, he couldn't have written the name on the shattered jar. Your Honor, it would appear more information is needed in regard to this jar and its bloody message. We may be missing something critical here. Something critical? Chief Prosecutor, it seems you're as in the dark as we are about the truth towards which we're headed. What? Just tell us exactly what you saw. We'll piece together the information to arrive at the truth. Very well. The witness may now continue her testimony. Got him, guys. That was easy. Up top of that one. Okay, second witness testimony. You're already locked in, so I don't need to say it. But if you're not, you better lock in! I immediately noticed the blood traces on the jar. But it was dark in the room and I didn't have time to check it out. To be safe, I wiped away the blood. The fragments were large, so I'm sure I got them all. All I could think about was wiping them clean before they were discovered. There's a lot of holes in that. You mean you were the one who wiped away the message in blood? I wasn't chief prosecutor at the time. She didn't think Dark was the real murderer. That's why she tried to erase the real evidence. Very well. The defense may now begin its cross-examination. There's a lot of holes in these statements, but I don't know which one to choose. I'm gonna hold everything, just to be safe. I immediately noticed the blood traces on the jar. Did you now? Did you really? So the jar was already broken? It's a miracle that thing hadn't broken earlier. It certainly looks as feeble as the defense's case. But not as feeble as the judge's judgment. You were an ace detective who never missed a detail. Do you really expect us to believe you didn't investigate what was written on the jar pieces? Normally I would have. But it was dark in the room and I didn't have time to check it out. So you didn't know your sister's name was written on the jar? No. If I had known, I would have gathered all the pieces and ground them to dust. Well, that helps my case. Lana, you'd do that for me? It seems you two might make up yet. Anyway, I just barely had enough time to move the body as it was. If someone happened upon the scene, you'd lose your chance to erase the evidence. You must have been in a hurry. I was. I knew I had to destroy the evidence before anyone came. This is rather shocking. To be safe, I wiped away the blood. With what? How did you wipe it away? Your tongue? I'm afraid this action of yours reveals what really happened. What do you mean? If you really thought Dark killed Prosecutor Marshall, you wouldn't have wiped away the blood. What else could I have done in that situation? Lana, I only had a few moments. There wasn't enough time for me to do anything else but gather up the pieces. The fragments were large, so I'm sure I got them all. But how could you see with the power out? It should have been pitch black in that office. A detective is always prepared, Mr. Wright. Even now, I always carry a pocket light and a camera with me. Even I carry a bottle of emergency luminol wherever I go. I never missed anything. I got every last piece. But you said it was dark, though. All I could think about was wiping them clean before they were discovered. So you illegally rearranged the crime scene? Yes, I don't have any excuse for my actions. I'm so sorry, Lana. I didn't know. I've treated you so badly all this time. It's not too late. There's still plenty of time to make up. After we've gotten to the bottom of this incident. No doubt this day will leave a permanent stain on the history of the prosecutor's office. More contradictions have surfaced in her testimony. Your sister's really putting up a fight. She must really care about you. Still, she's not doing this the right way. I think I finally figured out the contradictions in her testimony. There's one final possibility that might turn everything around. I immediately noticed the blood traces on the jar, but it was dark in the room. Oh my god, I did not mean to do that. Okay, I was trying to look at the court record. Okay, so Lana said to be safe, she wiped away all the blood. Hey, look here. It's hard to make out, but there's a dark red stain here. Looks like blood. This piece the chief has is different though. The blood stains on the other pieces are just spots, but this one's a line. That is odd. Final fragment found in Chief Gant's safe. Emma is written on the surface in blood. Yeah, she said she's sure she got them all, but the jar says that we found the final piece in Gant's safe. I think I gotta wind it up right now, and we gotta say, OBJECTION! Miss Sky, I believe this jar conceals a truth even you were unaware of. What? We found the final piece of the jar in Chief Gant's safe. In the chief's safe? But how? I knew it. She really didn't know. There's something even more disturbing about that final piece. There was still blood on it. But the witness just testified that she gathered every last piece and wiped the blood off them. Yes, which leaves us with only one explanation. On the night Prosecutor Marshall was murdered, you were not the first one to show up on the scene! Chief Gant got there before you! Yes, guys, he beat her in a race. He was first, she was second. But couldn't the defendant have simply missed a piece? Yeah, object that whack shit. I'm afraid that's unlikely. The pieces are too big for anyone to miss, let alone an ace detective! That may well be, but everyone makes mistakes. Even I once wasted an entire day looking for my dentures. They were in my mouth all along. Ha! Can you believe that? Have you forgotten, Your Honor? When this witness arrived at the scene, the jar was already broken. Oh, that! There's no way a name could have been written on a shattered jar. Another person discovered the scene prior to the witness! I hope you're not implying the person was Chief Gant. At the time, he was looking for Dark downstairs. Besides, even if he was there first, why would he break the jar? Yes, object that wig stuff! The question is, if he did arrive there first, why did he hide the fact for 2 years? Yeah, you speechless, aren't you, buddy? Well, Your Honor, can you answer us that? No! No! Yeah, guys, he can't answer that. What's up, baby? Wait, I'm not the one on trial here. Demon Gant arrived at the crime scene prior to the witness. He proceeded to break the jar and purposefully hid one of the broken pieces. Question: what is this action called? Fabrication of evidence. But why would Chief Gant do that? In light of what happened afterwards, isn't it clear? What happened afterwards? Discovering the scene, Lana Sky believed her sister Emma killed the victim. Determined to help her sister, she sought Gant's aid. Lending her his aid, Gant helped her create evidence that incriminated Dark, sparing Emma. And therein lies the reason! The reason why Miss Sky became the Chief's puppet! Ooh, she bit her thumb so hard that blood came out. No, I did it on my own. Please, sis, stop trying to protect the Chief. I can't watch you suffer anymore for my sake. No, you didn't. It wasn't you, Emma. You didn't kill anyone. Don't believe anything Mr. Wright says. Defense attorneys make up the most foul lies to defend their clients. Foul lies? Imagine that coming from my own client. I guess you do seem the type who likes to twist the truth. Wait a minute. Yes, I love it when it goes dark like this. What if we're still smack dab in the middle of Gant's trap? Is something wrong, Mr. Wright? Lana, maybe right after all. What do you mean, Wright? So you do tell foul lies then, Mr. Wright? Miss Sky, please testify once more. But If evidence was fabricated behind your back, then Emma's accidental killing of Prosecutor Marshall might also be a lie! But I do remember knocking over Mr. Marshall. Miss Sky, if you will. I can't. There's nothing to be afraid of anymore. This cross-examination may not change a thing. However, there is a possibility that it will if you tell the truth! Very well. I'll testify about what I really saw. Alright, the witness may testify once more for the final time! Yes, Edgeworth and Phoenix tag teaming, I love it! Phoenix and Edgy! When I arrived, I found Mr. Marshall's body impaled on that suit of armor sword. Emma and Dark were lying unconscious on the floor nearby. When I saw what had happened, I thought she did it. That's why I erased all the evidence that linked her to the murder. I had Chief Gant help me remove the body from the sword and carry it. But if it all really was a fabrication, Emma might be innocent. Unbelievable! The body was impaled on the armor sword? You were the only one who saw that. If only you had proof. Actually, I do have proof. I gave it to Mr. Wright just this morning. What? To me? It's a picture I took of the crime scene as I encountered it. I thought it might be needed. But I don't remember receiving a picture like that! Lana must have known. See, Mr. Wright? She really does have faith in you. Very well, Mr. Wright. Please present this picture! I don't remember receiving any pictures from Lana. Lana said she gave it to you this morning, right? Yeah, she gave the book. I seem to remember getting something from her then. Let's check that evidence again. There must be a picture in there somewhere. Okay, so it was this book. So let's check it. Okay, evidence law. Oh, I didn't really examine it like this. Guys, I'm not an ace detective. There it is. Oh my god. Hey, there's a picture here. Damn, she took that clear picture in 1080 HD? Oh my. This is the actual crime scene. No other detective saw the crime scene like this. Because I contacted Criminal Affairs only after I had rearranged everything. Lana's picture inserted into the court record. Mr. Wright! That piece cut out from his vest. Could that be the clock we found inside Chief Gant's safe? What's this? No way. This is a handprint, isn't it? That cloth, it had fingerprints on it. Whoever's fingerprints those are must be the real murderer. Ooh! Ooh, this is awkward! What? But those fingerprints, they're yours, Emma. Ooh! Super awkward. Why are your lips turning all purple, Mr. Wright? Yikes. Anyway, let's get on with the cross-examination. So long as you tell the truth, we should be able to flush out the real murderer. Very well. The defense may now begin its cross-examination. Yikes. The cloth had Emma's fingerprints. Yee. Okay. Actual crime scene. Got it. When I arrived, I found Mr. Marshall's body impaled. What? Oh! What the? No! Come now, Udgy. This is the poorest excuse for a trial I've ever seen. Chief Gant? What? Now you want to make me out as the bad guy too? If so, I'd like to put in a word or two in my defense. Objection! Yes, thank you, Edgy. I'm afraid it's too late for that. What? You already declined to testify. That means you forfeited your right to make statements of any sort. This must be that risk we were talking about earlier. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy the sound of the noose tightening around your own neck. Ah! I like that animation, it's so smooth. So what? You think I'm worried? Sorry to disappoint you, but I don't need to make any statements. What do you mean? The evidence will do all the talking for me. Even if I can't testify, I still present evidence. Yes, that's true. Wait, you mean you still have some conclusive evidence? No, I don't, but someone does. Someone? So, what's your excuse, Righto? Why have you been keeping quiet about it? You do have something to show us, right? Something that proves who knocked over Neil Marshall, causing his death. Conclusive evidence that leaves no room for doubt. Is this true, Mr. Wright? If I show that piece of evidence now, Emma's sure to be made out as the murderer. Mr. Wright, if you have any more evidence, present it now. And if you try to conceal anything, you will be the one appearing before the Board of Inquiries. What do I do now? I better think this through carefully. I can't afford to make the wrong decision. Should I present that piece of evidence? The one that shows who really killed Prosecutor Marshall? Ooh, goodness. You know what? We might have to risk it all, guys. We might have to risk it all. And we might have to say, cannot show evidence right now. Not right now. Your Honor, I don't have any evidence I can present at this point in time. What? You lie! Chief Gant? You opened my safe. I know you took what was inside. The conclusive evidence. I don't know what you're talking about. Mr. Wright, why don't you show them? We found it together. Oh, I see. It's because you know the truth, don't you? You know whose fingerprints are on it. That's why you won't present it. What are you talking about, Chief Gant? Can't you figure it out? Take a good look at this picture. See the victim's vest? Notice anything odd about the chest area? It looks like part of it's been cut out for some reason. You mean you had this in your safe? What? That means you, the Chief of Police, have been concealing evidence. This is going to be the biggest scandal in the history of the police department. Yes, guys, the biggest scandal in the history. Impressive. To be honest, I didn't think you had the gal, Righto. Well, I can't just let you pin me up as the murderer. I'll tell you what really happened. What? You mean you admit to it? I was the first person to arrive at the crime scene that day. It then occurred to me that I could use the situation to control Lana. So you really were manipulating her. I knew Lana. If I made it look like the blame lay with her sister, then when she saw the scene, she would ask me for my aid. So you assisted Miss Sky. I told her to arrange all the evidence. I had her plant the knife tip in the victim's body and move the body across the room. And I ended up using that evidence to get Joe Dark convicted. When I tampered with the crime scene, I hid 2 pieces of evidence. This was before Lana arrived at the scene, mind you. 2 pieces of evidence? You mean those items in your safe? But why? For insurance, of course. Insurance? I was sure my plan would work, but it's always best to be prepared for the worst. I wasn't about to let anyone blame me for a murder that girl committed. You mean you were calculating that far ahead while forging the evidence? What do you take me for, a fool? I didn't make police chief by dumb luck. See this jar fragment? I hid the most legible part of Emma's name. I didn't expect Lana to go and wipe the blood off all the pieces. But if you fabricated all the evidence, what's to say you didn't fabricate the message on the jar too? Ho ho ho. Some people just don't know when to quit, do they? That's why I kept one more item for insurance. You mean that piece of cloth? Come on, Righto. Cough it up already. I know you have it. What are you waiting for, Mr. Wright? So you admit to it then, Chief Gant? That you were hiding the cloth you cut off the victim's vest in your safe? Yes, I admit it. I didn't want to have to do that, being chief and all. But it's a lot better than being portrayed as a murderer. Well, Mr. Wright, what do you have to say for yourself? Just a moment ago, you said you didn't have any evidence you could present. Foolish move, Righto. You should have shown it then before it was too late. It's been a long battle. But the moment of truth has finally arrived. As long as I don't mess up here, victory is mine! I feel like the longer we just do this, the more it's gonna drag on and he's gonna make me cough it up. So I think that we just gotta cough it up. As long as I don't mess up here, victory is mine. Let me see something real quick. Because this is what everybody wants, right? Everybody wants this cloth. Let me check it. This is a handprint, right? Yeah. Someone left behind an oil stain on the fabric. Whoever it was, they must have had a really oily hand. Mr. Wright, think about it scientifically. Huh? A more likely explanation is, the person slipped and fell on a freshly waxed floor, getting wax all over their hand. Well, that would account for this amount of oil, I guess. I don't see what's so scientific about it, though. It happens, you know. I always slip on the floors at school after they're waxed. So wait, do you think that maybe Emma's handprint was on the floor, and then Gant put the cloth on the floor, and then got her handprint like that? Because why would he make a statement that it's really oily when examining this? You know what? I'm gonna show the evidence. Because that's what they want, right? We just gotta do it. Ain't nothing to it but to do it. Your Honor, I do have evidence to present now. Alright then, let's see this conclusive evidence. The evidence that shows who actually murdered Prosecutor Marshall. Alright guys, here goes. Little baby wind up and take that! Oh boy. Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut out this piece of the victim's vest? Oh yes! At last you finally brought it out into the open! There's a handprint on this piece of cloth! Your Honor, the prosecution requests that it be immediately sent to the lab for analysis. This handprint on the leather. There must have been a strong impact for it to be left so clearly. You mean... It could not have been forged. It must be authentic, conclusive evidence. Ho ho ho. You're as slow on the uptake as ever, Worthy. What? Think about it. Righto had all this time to present this evidence. Yet he was reluctant to do so. Why would that be? You mean you already know? You know whose fingerprints are on that? Mr. Wright, do you really know? Whoever the fingerprints belong to must be the real murderer. Whose fingerprints are they? Very well. I'll tell you. You should be okay now. Everything's proceeding as predicted. The person to whom these fingerprints belong to is... well, obviously they're Emma's. So, we just gotta say... Take that! Emma? Emma Sky? What? They're mine? I'm sorry, Emma. But why? Why didn't you tell me? Guys, calm down. I didn't tell her for a good reason. Oh ho ho ho! You're really something, Righto! You knew this girl did it all along. And you still tried to pin the murder on me. So it's true. Tragic, but true. This girl really did shove Prosecutor Marshall to his death. How could you? You monster! Miss Sky? You knew whose fingerprints those were all along, yet you acted like she really didn't. Miss Sky, it's not over yet. What? I said this trial isn't over yet. Ha! But I'm afraid it is over, boy. Not only this trial, but your career too. You purposely concealed this conclusive evidence. That, my friend, is a serious offense. I'm looking forward to pressing charges after the defendant is convicted. I'll have your badge, boy! What's the matter? Cat got your tongue? Aren't you going to tell us how it feels? how it feels to be the one who single-handedly turned a poor little girl into a murderer. Before I do that, there's just one little thing I have to clear up. Oh, and what's that? Who really killed Prosecutor Neil Marshall? What? Chief Gant, you are absolutely right. This piece of cloth proves who the real murderer is. Who killed Neil Marshall, you ask? It was Emma Skye, wasn't it? I'm afraid that's not possible. You see, this piece of cloth contains a critical contradiction. What? A contradiction? What is this fool babbling about? I'm talking about a contradiction. One that proves who the real killer is! Mr. Wright, this piece of cloth, what could it possibly contradict? Chief Gant, your tyrannical reign ends here. Behold, the piece of evidence that contradicts this cloth. The piece of evidence that contradicts this cloth. Okay, let's see here. Let's see what we got over here. It doesn't even look like it's part of his vest, right? It looks like a generic-ass piece of cloth. Okay, hold on. Let me zoom out. Actually, zooming out won't even do shit. But that cloth looks like a regular piece of cloth. Is that even the same thing? I don't even know. Hold on. Because I feel like that's not even the real cloth. Let's see here. That looks like it doesn't even match. Because look, it's kind of round right here. Like, it doesn't even look like it would be in the shape of that. Like, if you cut it out. I think that's a fake cloth. It's gotta be. Right? Hold on. Let me look at it one more time. Is it curved a little bit? It's not even curved. Right? It's not even curved a little bit. It looks like a freaking square. Okay, so it's either the piece of cloth or this picture. That's the evidence. The piece of evidence that contradicts this cloth. Okay, so it can't be the cloth because it contradicts the cloth. So it's gotta be the picture. So we're gonna wind it up and we're gonna say, take that! And what exactly is this supposed to be? This is the picture Miss Skye took. Take a good look at it. See where the piece of his vest was cut out? Yes, his shirt is showing underneath. It's hard to make out with all the blood on his vest, though. Exactly my point. His chest is soaked with blood. That's only natural. Oh, I get it. So if that was really part of his vest, then there would actually be blood on the cloth, but it's clean. His lungs, no doubt, were punctured. Blood poured out of his mouth. Oh, but that piece of cloth... Wait, there's no blood on it. Ah! Since Emma Skye's fingerprints are on this cloth, there's no doubt that she shoved the prosecutor aside. However, Mr. Marshall was not impaled on the sword at that time. No, this is nonsense. Now then, Chief Gant, let me ask you something. Prosecutor Marshall was not impaled when he was shoved aside. He most likely hit his head on the ground and was knocked out. If so, then tell me, who could it have been? Who could have arrived at the scene before Miss Lana Skye? Picked up the unconscious prosecutor and impaled him on the armor sword. Then, to make it look like Emma was responsible for the prosecutor's death, said person proceeded to write her name on the jar with the victim's blood. A jar that they then broke on purpose to leave behind a clue. And make Lana believe her sister did it! Remember what you admitted only moments ago? That you personally cut out this bloodless piece of the victim's vest? Ironic, isn't it? Through the very act of creating insurance, you proved that you were the actual murderer! No! It's finally all over. Wait, we really did it? Oh my goodness, of course. Oh ho ho ho! That was close, Righto. You almost had me. Sorry, but you'll have to do better than that. I refute your allegations. What do you mean you refute his allegations? You see, that piece of cloth is illegal evidence. What nonsense is this? Illegal evidence cannot be used to convict the suspect. Remember, Aji? Earlier, old Righto here concealed that piece of cloth. So then, what's your excuse, Righto? You do have some conclusive evidence, don't you? Your Honor, I don't have any evidence I can present at this point in time. Aw, man. Did I completely fuck myself? Well, that's true. The defense did refuse to present evidence. At that moment, the piece of cloth ceased to be legal evidence. But that's not fair. Whoa, 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 whoa! Did you actually think you could best me in court? It looks like the last laugh's on you, son. Did we make a big mistake? I'm afraid Mr. Gant's claim is legally correct. Well, Mr. Edgeworth. True. Illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a person. Assuming, of course, that the evidence is indeed illegal. Well, Mr. Wright? It seems, at last, the time for me to reveal my plan has finally arrived. Mr. Wright, do you admit to it? That you purposely and illegally concealed this piece of cloth? Well, obviously, we gotta play dumb at this point and say, I did not! I did not, sir! I admit I refused to present it at one point. Aha! So the evidence is illegal! No, it isn't, Mr. Gant. Huh? It's not that I didn't present the evidence then. It's that I couldn't. What do you mean, you couldn't? There are certain procedures involved when presenting evidence. No, Aji! Don't listen to his lies! He's nothing but a coward. You can't really believe. There is only one issue left to be resolved in this trial. Is this evidence legal or not? Very well. Let us settle this once and for all. Earlier, you refused to present evidence. If you can prove your conduct was not in violation of the law, then do so now. Okay, well, we have an evidence law book, don't we? What? No, we have an evidence law book. It is right here, so let me check it. From Miss Sky, explains the 2 rules of evidence law. No evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. Unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case on trial. Okay, it's unregistered, right? And it must be relevant to the case on trial? So, do we wind it up and we say, take that! This is my proof, Your Honor. Evidence law. What's this? I've done my homework too, Chief. Indeed, Emma Sky's fingerprints were on this piece of cloth. However, at that point in time, this was merely a piece of cloth, nothing more. What? You see, it's written right here in this book. The second rule of evidence law. Rule number 1. No evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. I found this piece of evidence myself, inside your safe. It goes without saying, I did not have approval from the police department. Rule 2. Unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case on trial. It's extremely relevant. And here's the crux of the matter. You see, at the time it was impossible for me to prove the relevance between the cloth and the SL9 incident. What? What kind of nonsense is this? You want relevancy? Just take one look at this picture and... Yeah, shut up! Sorry, but can you recall? When was that picture presented? That was shown only a few moments ago. No. He's right. At the beginning of today's trial, that piece of cloth was still meaningless. The person who gave it value as evidence was you, Damon Gant. You yourself confessed to a certain truth. Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut out this piece of the victim's vest? Oh, yes! He said it proud, too. No! It was then that you approved this cloth as conclusive evidence. Yes, you, the chief of police, personally approved this cloth. The only person who could have cut this from the victim's vest is the one who stood before Prosecutor Marshall in his final moments. In other words, the real murderer. And there's only one person who could that be. And there's only one person who that could be. Damon Gant! The killer was you! Oh, this man's crazy. Did he die? I knew I should have gotten rid of him. That good-for-nothing scum. For 2 years, he's been snooping around the department trying to get something on me. Crimes are being committed every day, yet he insisted on hounding me. Well, your crime wasn't exactly petty. He wanted to reinvestigate the case. He recruited Angel Starr, then convinced Bruce Goodman. Detective Goodman. Yeah, that's right. If the evidence is transferred, I'll lose my only chance to find out the truth. Please, you've got to help me. Goodman turned him down, as he ought to. Still, Jake Marshall didn't know when to quit. He stole Goodman's ID card and tried to take the evidence. Goodman came to me that day. He wanted to file a lost item report. I went with him to the evidence room. Then all of a sudden he decided to speak out. What are you talking about, Goodman? Can you please reopen the investigation, Chief? We can't transfer the evidence out. There are too many questions left unanswered. And then wha-pow! Dead. He opened his evidence locker, and as he was taking the evidence out, he said, "It's not too late. I'm gonna hand all this over to Marshall." Well, to be honest, I was a bit taken aback by his words. I had a bad feeling when he came to see me, but I never thought he'd bring up SL9. That's when I saw it. That accursed knife. I couldn't just pull it out. Doing so would have only led to more blood, making it near impossible to hide your crime. Even so, the blood was just pouring out. I didn't know who might stumble in, so I hurried to wipe it up. I was worrying so much about the floor, I didn't realize my fatal mistake. The bloody handprint. On Detective Gumshoe's locker. I used to be known as the crime computer. But everyone has to start somewhere, I guess. I was too nervous. I had no business doing any of it. Then you put the body in my car? I'm sorry, I couldn't think of any other way to move the body. I broke your trunk, but what's the big deal? You make a lot more than us detectives ever will. Gah. Leaving the prosecution's car aside. How? How could you get Miss Sky involved in all of this? Well, she had as much to lose as I did if the truth came out. So you took the evidence from Detective Goodman's locker? I felt bad for having to do it. I also didn't have the time to pick and choose what to take. So, you left the jar fragments in the glove. Yeah. It looks like I was better off being an investigator of crimes than a committer. Wow. They all did their best to get in my way. I've got to hand it to them. They do their jobs well, much to my dismay. Fake evidence doesn't hold up very well upon close examination. You must have known that. Tell me, Worthy, why do you stand in court? Me? You despise criminals. I can feel it, you and me. We're the same. One day you'll understand. Oh, believe me, you will. You're just one man. You'll see what it really takes to bring them down once you try to go it alone. Well, looks like it's time to say goodbye. Oh, Udgy. Oh, what? Looks like we'll have to cancel that lunch date. Sorry, old friend. I'm sorry too, Damon Gant. I knew you as you used to be, long ago. You were once a fine investigator and an example to others on the force. I'm sorry to learn that you are no longer that person.
Those days are gone now, Udgy. Thanks for all the memories, though. Don't worry, you'll be fine. Now you have Righto here. And Worthy. With these two around, you can't go wrong. In fact, I can hear them already. The melodious sounds of new beginning.
There are two things I want you to understand.
Yes?
First, your sister never hurt anyone. Second, Damon Gant betrayed you from the beginning. You see, Miss Sky, you no longer have any reason to keep silent.
You're right. When this trial is over, I'll tell everything. All that I've done these past 2 years. From the time I had Gant help me forge evidence up until today.
So, it seems all the questions raised in this trial have been answered. I'm sorry, Miss Sky. I couldn't get you out of all your trouble.
My, what high standards you have for a rookie.
I can see why Mia thought so highly of you. Who knows, a few years from now, you just might make it to the top. Oh, she finally smiled.
I owe you my thanks, Mr. Wright.
Miss Sky.
And to you too, Mr. Edgeworth.
You've suffered every bit as much as I have over these past few days. Believe me, I know how much of an ordeal it's been for you. Huh. It was nothing.
Liar. I was worried the pressure might break you. And yet, you rose above it all and guided Mr. Wright to victory. Well, that's because Edgy does legendary things. You've done well, Mr. Edgeworth.
Stop it! I only did my job! In light of this case, it seems a good self-examining is in order for all of us. Miss Sky.
Yes, Your Honor?
You are innocent of murder. However, although the chief blackmailed you, the fact is you still acted as his accomplice. A trial will be scheduled for these crimes at a later date.
Yes, I understand, Your Honor.
Is there something amusing about all of this? Why are you smiling?
It's been a long time, Your Honor. A long time since I felt free of these heavy chains.
Well, this trial has gone on far too long already. Regarding the charge of murder, this court finds the defendant, Miss Lana Sky, not guilty. Woo! That's what we do, guys! Damn, what a great episode. That was good. Probably my favorite. Super long though, but probably my favorite episode. That is all. This court is adjourned. What a journey.
February 25th, 5:03 p.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby Number 2. At long last, it's finally over. Emma? Why the long face? I'm sorry your sister didn't get completely off the hook, but at least she wasn't convicted for a murder she didn't commit. No, that's not it. Just now, after the trial ended, I can see why Mia Fey thought so highly of you. I owe you my thanks, Mr. Wright. And to you too, Mr. Edgeworth. You've suffered every bit as much as I have over these past few days. You've done well. You know, I did my best too, but Lana didn't say a single word to me.
Hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals.
Oh, guess I am. I'll come back later.
He always fades out, and then he's gonna fade back in, watch. Wait, Detective Gumshoe, what is it? Oh, yep, fade back in, yep, come on back here. You're doing this on purpose, aren't you? Making a detective run all around while on duty. And to top it off, you call me here. I've seen happier people at funerals.
Hey, lighten up, pals. I'm only kidding. Oh, are you here because of my sister again?
Nope, not this time. I came today because of you, pal.
Me? That's right. I thought you'd like to see someone. Who? Oh, yeah, of course. Lana! Should you be doing this? She's still under arrest, you know. Well, I won't tell if you won't. Emma, I owe you an apology. It's okay, sis. Don't worry about it. That day 2 years ago was the first time in my life I ever panicked. It was all I could do to keep myself from screaming. All I could think about was keeping you from getting wrapped up in that mess. Sis, I asked Gant to help me cover up the truth. I thought I was doing it for your sake, but now I realize I was wrong. I changed after that day. I had to. It was the only way I could make it through the past 2 years. I knew how much I was hurting you by distancing myself, but I couldn't bring myself to tell you what I did. I was scared. Scared that you'd look at me with those eyes of yours. I was scared of how you'd react if you knew. But sis, you were only doing it for me. No. Huh? I turned my back on you that day. In hiding what I believed to be the truth, I was deceiving you. Sis, I'm such a fool. It took me all this time to realize it. Emma, I'm so sorry. But sis, you don't have to apologize. I'm happy now. You're happy? Of course. You know, sis, I always knew that one day you'd come back. And now you have. Yo, stop smiling, it's creeping me out. Oh, Emma. Aww. Sister's happy again. No one can change the past. The only thing we can do is strive to make up for our mistakes. Why must we make up for our own mistakes, you ask? Because in doing so, we can find the way back to our rightful path. And it is from there that we can move on toward a brighter future. At least that's what I felt, watching the two sisters make up. Mr. Wright, Mr. Gumshoe. Me? Thank you both for all that you've done. I'm sure we'll meet again someday. Isn't that right, Edgeworth? Edgeworth? Stop hiding and come over here. Edgy baby. Where was he hiding? I just came to say, congratulations. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Edgeworth. Right, well, I'll be going now. Mr. Edgeworth, I hope you don't blame yourself for what happened. Oh, he's not a god. He actually didn't fade away. We were the ones who acted corruptly, not you. It's too late for me. No matter what anyone may say, I realized today that I can't correct my mistakes. Mr. Edgeworth, not only that, but I don't even trust myself anymore. Chief Gant was right. You despise criminals. I can feel it. You and me, we're the same. One day you'll understand. Oh, believe me, you will. You're just one man. You'll see what it really takes to bring them down once you try to go it alone. I do despise criminals. I plan to dedicate my entire life to fighting them. But in order to fight crime on my own, I need a weapon. It's scary, but I've known that to be true for quite some time now. But Edgeworth, who knows? Given enough time, I might have tried to pull something like Chief Gant did. That thought terrifies me. That's why I can't continue on as a prosecutor. Edgeworth, don't you understand? Damon Gant and your mentor, Manfred von Karma, were both the best of the best when it came to fighting crime. But they both made the same mistake. You said in order to fight crime on my own, I'd need a weapon.
That may be true, but think back to today's trial. You weren't alone. You were working together with Mr. Wright. And because of that partnership, you were able to present evidence that otherwise would have gone undiscovered. Isn't that right, Mr. Wright?
Huh? What? Oh, yeah.
What is this, a pop quiz? Come on, Mr. Wright, show him what Lana's talking about. Evidence, huh? Something that neither Edgeworth nor I would have been able to find on our own.
Oh,
it was the evidence list, right? Yeah, list of evidence on the SL9 incident. Half of this list was found on the desk. Yeah, it was that, right? I think this has got to be it. That's the picture I drew. Our counterattack began with this. You had one half of the evidence list, and I had the other. Apart, we couldn't have been able to completely restore Emma's picture. Yeah, but together, you know, we created a happy family, you feel me? That didn't just happen by chance, Mr. Edgeworth. It's time for me to go. Mr. Edgeworth, if you'll excuse me, there are still some loose ends that need wrapping up. Take care, Chief Prosecutor. Oh, he'll definitely be wrapping it up with Old Bag. Edgeworth, what will you do now? Well, whatever you do, just remember. You can let what happened kill the prosecutor in you, or you can let it help you grow. In the end, it's up to you. I know, it seems I owe you my thanks too, right? But what I face now is my problem. Edgeworth, I'll be waiting for you in court. Farewell. No! Edgy! I'd better be going too. Okay, but I'll be by to visit soon. It seems we both have a lot to learn and catching up to do. Here, this is a little something for you. Scientific investigation? It's the first book I ever bought. Study it well. Thanks, sis. I will. Where the hell is she getting all these books? And so, another case came to a close. As for the sisters, I have faith. Faith that their lives have only just begun. And as for me, I think it's time I started on a new journey of my own. A journey to rediscover myself.
Well, don't go trekking off just yet, pal. Huh? What is it, detective? There's just a little matter to be resolved about the chief prosecutor. You see, she isn't supposed to be out of jail like this.
But
I thought you said it was okay. Yeah, well, it may be okay with me, but the folks at the prison are a different story. Huh? Basically, I had to bribe a guard in order to sneak her out for 30 minutes. Believe me, it wasn't cheap either. Huh?
Way to go, detective. I didn't know you had a wild side.
Yeah, well, you see, Mr. Wright here is the one who will be footing the bill. Huh? Huh? What, you think I could afford it with my salary? You gotta be kidding me, pal! Huh? Huh? Huh?
Thank you, Mr. Wright. You're the best. Why is it I suddenly feel like I want to scream?
Hey, I got an idea. Why don't we all go pay it off together?
Yeah, that's a great idea. Come on, guys. Let's go.
Object that. Oh, man. Alright, guys. Whoa. Well, unless there's another episode at the end of this, I think we're good. I arranged for a friend of mine in Europe to take... What? What is this? It's all skipping, guys. You're gonna have to read it yourself. Let me see if I can read this. I must find my way back to the field somehow. Then I'll be able to investigate crimes together with Emma. Okay. Wow. Man, guys, what a long game. If there's another freaking episode to this, I can't. You know how long episode 5 took, guys? I think it took at least 2 weeks. Like 2 weeks and like, I don't even know, like 10 episodes? Okay, so you guys are gonna read all this, and I am just gonna give my thoughts
best visual novel type of game that I've ever played in my freaking life, guys. My freaking life. This was so good, so charismatic, jokes are funny, characters are all distinct and different from each other. Like Edgeworth, you can tell what kind of personality he has. Phoenix, the judge, like every character that was in this game, like even freaking Harry Stinking Buds, Big Dick Gumshoe, everybody was just so unique from each other. Even this guy. And the version of the game that I bought was the Phoenix Wright trilogy off Steam. So it was this full game. And then I think it was like Justice for All and Trials and Tribulations. If you guys are like watching this part and like are hearing me talk right now, let me know if you guys want me to do those other 2 games. I'm pretty sure they're gonna be long as hell, but you know what? I don't mind because more Phoenix Wright for everybody, right? I hope there's more Edgeworth because we all love Edgy Boy. And I'm just ready for all the new characters that are gonna be in the other games. But I want to see if there's something at the very end here. So I'm just gonna chill here and let's see what else we got. Who's that? Wait, is that Lana and then, like, little kid Emma? Aw. Okay. Cool. Thanks for that. Aw, man. Thank you, Capcom! Woo! What an amazing game, guys. I can't believe I just found out about Phoenix Wright this year, you know? It's 2019, guys. When did this game come out? Like, early 2000s? That's crazy. Okay, so if I continue, then I just start from the final day trial ladder 2. Okay, so I think I'd have to go to new game, and then this is Ace Attorney, this is Justice for All, and this is Trials and Tribulations. So if you guys want me to continue the Phoenix Wright series, Justice for All, make sure you guys give this video one big fat like, and tell a friend today that Jay from the Cub Scouts is that dude!